Hey guys, Paper Cut here doing another AOE 4 school video. This one's going to be over play styles. When playing any RTS, there's often a focus on a style of play. Often competitive RTS are crafted with the goal of having options of play available. When you look at AOE 4, you see that in the way each civ is constructed. While the civs are well built enough to play them any way you want, it is obviously based on a civ bonuses and mechanics that kind of leads to a style of play for each one. Before we get into civ specifics, I want to touch upon the styles of play and what characterizes them, as figuring out the style of play you prefer will go a long way to finding the civ or the civs that is good for you. After much personal back and forth, to me there are two main styles of play that sit on a spectrum within AOE 4, with different sub-styles within them. Let's lay them over a line and show the spectrum. The two main styles of play are aggressive and booming. Big picture, aggressive is a military-focused style where you're trying to gain an advantage by putting a majority of your resources into units. Your win condition is either winning in feudal or doing enough damage that you have a natural eco lead into castle where you can finish the game. Or imperial if it comes to that. By finish the game, I usually mean like dropping rams, destroying landmarks. Booming is where you put a majority of your resources into economy, often forcing yourself to defend against your opponent. The win condition is surviving till your eco investments pay off, allowing you to produce either more units or higher quality military than your opponent. Let's examine these styles to get a better understanding of them. First, we have the far end of the spectrum, ultra aggressive. From the start of the game, you're attacking your opponent. This is usually a dark age rush of some sort, either unit based or tower based. The goal is to both deny resources from your opponent, usually gold, and throw them off their build order and make them overreact. You then continue pressuring to feudal and win the game. Very risky, as you lose resources early on from pulling villagers to either make towers or to make units, as well as delaying your age up. If it fails to get value, such as your opponent sneaking out and getting a side gold, then you are behind. This requires a good sense of resources, as you have to be precise to not lose time. Also requires good game sense to predict what your opponent has to do in response. Next, we have average aggressiveness. This is characterized by moving into units the second you hit feudal and going to attack the opponent. The goal is to establish map control, kill villagers, and starve the opponent's resources. This allows you to either win the game in feudal, or do enough damage that you have a distinct advantage moving into castle. Against another aggressive player, the battle becomes who can best micro their units and attack opponents' resources without themselves taking damage. Against the booming player, your goal is to win the game before their economy gets too powerful to stop. Lastly, there's light aggression. This is when you make a few units at the start of feudal to force a response from your opponent, maybe even a light tower rush. You then harass with the goal of booming or rushing castle while your opponent deals with your harassment. Your goal is to create a tech or eco advantage by slowing your opponent down and giving yourself time to invest resources in yourself. If aggression sounds like the fit for you, then these civs should be ones you try out. Mongols. With the ability to double produce units with stone, bonuses from building towers, knights that can self-heal, this civ is geared towards aggression. And with trade bonuses, a light aggression gives you space to set up that trade. Delhi. With the ability to quickly produce units, free upgrades, a landmark that increases attack speed of infantry, and the ability to get sacred sites in feudal, you're encouraged to mass units and put pressure on, either to win the game the feudal, or get yourself into castle with a gold advantage. French, and Jeanne d'Arc to some extent. With a landmark that allows you to produce feudal knights instantly, and the bonus to produce villagers faster for the French, or decrease the resources to build units of Jeanne d'Arc, you are most benefited by going aggressive and feudal, and forcing your opponent and doing damage to your opponent. English. With a landmark that allows you to produce longbows quickly, and an eco that struggles against civs who boom, it encourages you to at least do some basic pressure to slow down the opponent. Ottomans. With military schools for free military units, and Meter that bumps their speed, Ottomans are a common feudal aggressive civ, as mass archers and Sipahi are a tough combo to beat. Zushi's Legacy. The Zugnu and Imperial officials allowing for quick production as well as strong feudal economy, a Zugnu rush is a go-to for many players. Japan. With the Onabagation feudal samurai, with free farms and upgraded farms through TC, you often see Japanese players push for a feudal fight with constant raids. On the other side of the spectrum, you have the boom style. On the far end of the spectrum, you have a greedy booming style. This is an attempt to put maximum amount of resources into your economy and survive off barely any units. The goal is to hit an economic lead that allows you to overwhelm your opponent. This is characterized by going multiple TCs, heavy eco upgrades, maybe even 2 TCs in trade, or 2 TCs into a castle rush. In the middle, you have an average boom. This is an attempt to put more resources into the economy than units and trust the defender's advantage to survive till your eco advantage takes over. This is most often just a 2 TC, or having your villagers take dangerous resources like boar or faraway deer pack, or even trade. As with all boom styles, if you survive an aggressive push, you win from the power of your eco. But if someone puts more resources into booming than you could lose. Light boom. A light boom is a castle rush. This is when you put all your resources into trying to get to castle as fast as possible, often with a few units. The goal is to beat your opponent with better units before they're able to either outmass you with units or out-eco you with more villagers. One way to gain eco back in a castle rush is to grab relics with your civ's religious units. Overall, the booming style requires the ability to macro well, as you often have to hit key timings to boom efficiently and hit your power spikes such as castle or lead in villagers. You also have to be good at defending, which can be difficult against an overwhelming force. It requires tight macro villagers and units, and the patience to pick the right fight at the right time. Learning these skills can be tough though, but can be really helpful later on, as you are much better at coming back if you fall behind. This is why you often see the aggressive playstyle being generally more popular for new players. It's a lot more direct and a lot more focused on just making units and going. Civs that are more boom-based with quick descriptions why. China, with its defense and economic feudal landmarks, Song Dynasty that provides faster vills, and a huge power spike in Castle Imperial, China often leads towards a 2TC into feudal and surviving till Castle. Abbasid, with its cheap villagers, berry gathering bonus, ability to get cheaper TCs and powerful Castle Age units in the Gulam and Camel Rider, and the Golden Age bonus from a large base, Abbasid's best strategy is often 2TC push towards Castle. HRE, with its extra gold from relics, powerful men-at-arms castle upgrades, cheap defenses, and defensive healing power, eco-focused feudal landmark, and inspired villagers with increased gather rate, HRE's best power comes in a castle with a quick Imperial to quickly increase eco. Malians, with the passive income of cows and pit mines, as well as eco-focused castle landmark, the power spike of the Malians is viewed as a boom into castle that allows an insane amount of units to be made. Lastly, I would say there are civilizations that live in the exact middle of the spectrum. These civs can do a bit of everything, or they don't really have a large power spike in any large area. This makes them either viewed as a very powerful civ, or viewed as a tad underpowered depending on the person. These civs can be played anyway, really, or are just most successful reacting to what the opponent is doing in the moment, rather than trying to force a playstyle on the opponent. Byzantines. I would argue people are still figuring the Byzantines out. While feudal aggro-based builds are gaining popularity based on the Hippodrome and early cisterns, there's also a focus on the wine-gathering economy boom that leads to a mercenary-based push, late feudal or castle. Order of the Dragon. The Order is a slow civ, with its bonuses being based more on strong units and strong villagers. The Order can be a feudal aggressive civ, but not against civs that have more tempo than them. They can boom, but will be beaten by boom civs. Instead, the Order plays best trying to play against the civ's weaknesses, making it a difficult civ to master as you have to be able to do a little bit of everything. Rus. The Rus are an amazingly versatile civ, with the bounty system giving increased gather rates, feudal knights, strong feudal landmarks that can be defensive or economic, and powerful imperial stealthy and siege. The Rus can be played in any style successfully. Ayyubids. With the House of Wisdom providing so many options and the versatility of its units, the Ayyubids can fight it out in feudal, invest in the economy and boom, or rush castle. They can do all these things fairly well, allowing someone to play the civ in any way that fits them best. Overall, I hope this video was helpful in both identifying strategies of play and the civs you might want to try out if you're seeing that strategy of play works for you. I hope in the future to be creating videos that teach you how to do these styles of play, how to be aggressive, how to boom, things like that. If you're interested in private coaching, check the description below and reach out to me on Discord. Good luck on your future games.